wanted to talk to you about one of the things that we think is the most important thing that's made our relationship as successful as it is, and that's what we call the process of clearing.
You know, currently, Catherine and I have no resentment between each other right now because when something comes up that bothers one of us, that has the potential to keep bothering us, we bring it up and we discuss it in the moment until we're done talking about it.
So that would look something like we're out on a walk in the morning, which we do most mornings, and I would say, did you say that with a little edge to it?
And I might say something like, oh no, sorry, it's a little unconscious. I was tired. I was thinking about something else. Something you brought up triggered me a little bit, but no, I'm not upset at you.
So right there, I'm not going home and worried that he's mad at me subconsciously, or that I said something stupid, or that, you know how the mind can go on and on. Maybe everything I say is stupid, or just, you know how the mind can just create all kinds of things instead of just stopping in the moment and checking. We okay?
It's not always comfortable. You have to stop and say, hey, that sounded a little bit sharp to me. Or are you talking to me that way? Did you mean something by that? And that can be a little bit uncomfortable. You have to have an agreement that this is something that you are going to do. As a matter of fact, our agreement is we have to bring those things up. I'm not allowed to hold on to something because I think that maybe something was said to me a little bit sharply. That builds up little tiny bits of resentment which get bigger and bigger and bigger, and before you know it, someone leaves the refrigerator door open and we're going to do a huge argument that has nothing to do with the refrigerator door. It's got to do with all of those little things that have built up over time.
Sure, certainly had plenty of that in my previous relationships where the smallest thing would trigger World War II because who knows why, because all the little things that had been building up. So Greg and I early on decided not only do we each have permission and the other person really wants the other person to bring it up in that moment, because we don't want to be carrying it into the another part of the day. Then it shows up in your mood for the day, it shows up in your motivation for the day, it shows up in the bedroom, it shows in your emotional comfort, it shows up in whether or not you feel secure in your relationship. So the number one thing is permission to bring it up that you both have agreed to. And the second thing, as soon as possible, in the moment, and if you can, and if it's 3 hours later and you go, wow, you need to bring it up now instead of tomorrow. And then the next part of it is to talk about it until both people feel satisfied.
That's an important part of it. You talk about it until it's done. So you can talk about something in the moment and feel like it's done. And maybe a few hours, a few days, a few months, maybe a year later, you realize you still feel a charge around that thing. You have to talk about it again because you're not done. That's a very important part of this.
And when you keep the communication between you, you can feel that energetically when there's something wrong and something between you. And you can feel that when you start doing this clearing process. You can feel like poof when the charge disappears and you're back to that lovely flow of energy between you where it's just love. So that's always the goal, is to get back to that pure love. Little emotions come up between it, maybe between us, something from the past, something from irritation from something that's going on in the world. It could be any reason. Could be that we're a little bit unhappy with each other. Who knows? We clear it in that moment until perfect love is there again.
You know, another benefit to this is if we're completely clear and we have nothing between us right now, and I happen to be in a bad mood, she will know that I'm just in a bad mood. It doesn't have to do with that thing that happened this morning or last week or last month or a year ago, that there's just something off about me. And that way, me being in a bad mood doesn't cause her to be in a bad mood because she thinks I'm upset at her and it's ruined the day, and that's going to be a problem. It just goes on and on and on, and it's a snake that eats its tail after a while. It's impossible to get out of.
So again, this process is called clearing. It is something we discovered from various different things that we've learned from various different sources. We kind of put it together into our own thing, which is confront it as soon as possible, talk it through completely until it's done.
Until it's done.
And then you also have permission, if you think it's done in that moment, but you realize later it's not done, is to bring it up again and again and again. Who knows, a year later you still go, still not completely sure why you said that. And that keeps the love between you clear and flowing like water.
Talk about what's happening between you and you'll see a big difference in your relationship. We hope this is something that you take up.